Yeah, so hello everybody and welcome to this session. We are just waiting for Samuel to join and then we can be able to start. So I think Samuel is here. Let's proceed. Thank you. Samuel, to you. Samuel, can you hear us? Mr. Samuel, if you can hear me. Bimpe, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Jeremiah.
Okay, I think Samuel is trying to fix a network issue. So let's get started. So this is the 20th episode of the iGaming Africa webinars. And this is brought to you by Edge Lagos 2025, Digitain, and iGaming Consult Africa. And today we are going to be having a very important discussion about the future of the gambling industry in Nigeria following the recent Supreme Court ruling. So I will allow you, Bimpet, to go first as we wait for Samuel to fix his microphone. So please bring us to the introduction of that and then as we try to fix this. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I think we can start out with the rounds of introduction. And by way of introduction, my name is Olabimpe Akingba. I'm the Regional Manager, Africa Business Development and Regulatory for Mchezo Limited. Mchezo Limited is the brand owner of Bet Power. Prior to that, I was the immediate past executive secretary of the Association of Nigerian Bookmakers. That is the trade body for licensed operators in Nigeria. I have over 12 years experience in the gaming industry that spans legal and compliance, advocacy, and recently business development. It is, lovely to be here discussing this important topic with my fellow panelists. Thank you. I think B, you can go next.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Olabimpe. And good morning, everyone. My name is Ulubi Williams. I'm the sales manager for Gaming Tech. We're B2B providers for operators within the African space, LATAM, Europe, and Asia. I've been around for quite a number of years now, like 7 years, and the experience has been awesome. And to be honest, the B2B landscape is something that needs a lot of integration, like getting into the system newly. You need to understand how the whole of the face, how it works, right? So for us at Gaming Tech, we're just making sure that we provide the kind of solution tailored towards operators' needs, which significantly will impact their operations and help them to increase revenues. So delighted to be here with the rest of the panelists. And today we'll be discussing a very significant move, which has really been impacting the Nigerian space for a while. And hopefully we'll get into it in a bit. And I just want to say thank you, everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, B. Fadike, over to you.
Thank you, Winfrey. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone joining us. My name is Olafabike Akeju. I'm a Nigerian qualified lawyer who practices in Nigeria as well as the UK. I am managing partner of Wise Solicitors, a specialist firm that focuses on the gaming industry in Nigeria. I'm also a partner at Still Rose Legal, a UK-based firm, and I head the gaming department at Still Rose. Also, we have a platform, Select Africa, where I am the team lead, and what we do is provide gaming industry specific capacity building for operators and regulators as well in the industry. Um, in addition to that, it's very important to point out that I started out in the gaming industry about 17 years ago as a regulator with the Lagos State Lotteries and what is today known as the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority. Before then proceeding into private practice, still within the industry, where we provide services around regulatory compliance, policy analysis, corporate governance, company secretarial services, licensing services, advisory, as well as corporate structuring. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to a very insightful conversation this morning.
Thank you, Fadike. Finally, over to you, Farouk.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Pinkett. My name is Farouk Hassan. I'm the manager for strategy and global engagement at the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority, which everyone knows, of course, in Nigeria is, the premier regulatory body in the country. Basically, what I do with the authority is to help, cultivate policies and rules and partnerships to help us regulate in line with global best practice. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here with this, esteemed panel of experts in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Farouk. Jeremiah, I think we are done with the introductions. How would you like us to proceed now that Samuel is still not here?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, okay. I hear you clearly. So please, you can take it over. Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry about it's actually due to the network glitch. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I am Olaiton Samuel, CEO founder of Betting Business in Nigeria and Africa, a platform that is dedicated to bringing together betting professionals and software providers from across the globe. Sincerely, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this highly anticipated iGaming webinar brought to you by iGaming Africa, powers for everything related to iGaming across the continent and beyond. Today, we will be diving deep into a crucial topic, sharing the future of the industry, the future of Nigeria gambling industry in light of the Supreme Court ruling. Yes, if you can remember vividly, that was exactly 24th of November last year, 2024. The Supreme Court of Nigeria ruled that gaming regulation falls exclusively under the state jurisdiction, nullifying the National Lottery Act. This decision has reshaped the licensing framework, creating both challenges and new opportunities for operators and regulators. This session is proudly sponsored because we just have to give that kudos to people who brought everyone here. The sponsors, we have Digitin, we have Age Lagos, that which is slated for next month on the, I think, 25th to 27th. And we also have iGaming Consult Africa, who have done a very good job in bringing us together to be here today. And I'm so happy before coming on board, everyone has actually introduced him or herself, and kudos to you guys. I'm happy to have you here. Thank you. So to just go straight to the point, I've got let me say I've got 6-7 questions, which is going to be a very conversational one for everyone here. And as I read out, as I throw out the questions, I will state as well the person that will be giving us the full details about whatever how the question, as in the full details of what it looks like when it comes to the benefits and the challenges regarding to what I've just stated as the topic. So the first question is just for us to know, knowing the background to the view of the ruling, its significance. I would like Fadeke to talk about that, and yes, Fadeke, you can take it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, by way of background, it's important to know how this Supreme Court judgment came to be. It's a matter that was instituted about 16 years ago by the then Lagos State government and the Lagos State Lotteries Board, now known as the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority. Incidentally, at the time, it was when I joined as the board secretary and legal advisor. So I was actually part of the drafting and institution of this court matter. At that time, we realized that we had a situation whereby in the federal system of government that Nigeria operates, the federal government had a body, the National Lotteries Regulatory Commission, and had an act in place, the National Lotteries Act, to regulate gaming, which we felt was not constitutional, given that the Constitution clearly spells out the jurisdiction and control over matters of national interest. So according to the Constitution, there are three lists, and those three lists define what matters are controlled by which arm of government. So which level of government? So we have the exclusive list, which has matters such as telecommunications on them, and there matters on this list, as the name implies, can concurrently be legislated and controlled by both the federal government as well as the state government. For instance, the tax regime we have in Nigeria, whereby, you know, aspects of, we have state internal revenue service, we also have the federal internal revenue service, matters of education, where we have institutions of learning controlled by the federal government as well as the state. Now, the Constitution then goes further. There's not a list. However, it says any matter that is not clearly spelled out in the exclusive and concurrent list automatically become residual matters and should be managed, legislated upon, and controlled by state governments as they deem fit. But like I said, back in 2004, 2005, we had a situation whereby both the federal and the states were legislating, they had laws and were controlling gaming. So this matter was instituted to get clarity from the court and interpretation on the constitutionality of the structure that existed. So the matter before the court was, you know, the constitutional power, you know, of the National Assembly and the state legislative assembly as well to create laws. Also, whether lotteries and gaming and related activities are matters within the concurrent list, and then whether the State House of Assembly also have exclusive powers to regulate lotteries and gaming, since it is not a matter within the exclusive or concurrent list. The matter also went further to ask the court if the National Lotteries Act that grants the president the authority to issue and revoke licenses is unconstitutional or inconsistent with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. These were the matters before the court. As I said, this matter was instituted back in 2008 at the Federal High Court, and there was a judgment at that time. What the court said was, because of the nature of lottery, which was exceeding state boundary and was operating, you could have an operator in Lagos who was also trading in neighboring states. They therefore classified lottery as interstate commerce. This was appealed again. It went to the Court of Appeal, where the court upheld the decision of the Federal High Court. However, the recent judgment, which was delivered on the 22nd of November 2004, was the final by the apex court, being the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court's decision specifically was that lotteries and game of chance is not one of the 68 matters in the exclusive legislative list. Therefore, it is not within the purview of the National Assembly or the federal government to make laws or to regulate and control this matter. It also found that it is not a matter in the concurrent list. It also found that it cannot be classified as interstate commerce. It is not within the purview of what the law considered to be interstate commerce. Now, it then went further to make declarations that the National Lotteries Act is inconsistent with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution. And of course, the 1999 Constitution being the ground norm of the country, being the highest law of the country, whatever law or act that comes after it or before it, that exists before or after it, that is inconsistent with it, is null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. The court then gave orders, and the orders were: 1, to nullify the National Lotteries Act; 2, an order of perpetual injunction, which means an order restraining all of the defendants, and the defendants were essentially the Attorney General of Federation, the National Lotteries Regulatory Commission, the House of Assembly, the Attorney Generals of about 16 states of the Federation, restricting them from either by themselves or through agents or through other government bodies, from implementing the provisions of the National Lotteries Act. And finally, he gave an order also restraining the federal government from taking any steps or actions at enforcing or continuing to enforce any of the provisions of the National Lotteries Act within the territories of any state, of the plaintiff. At the time, it did specify of the plaintiff, and there were 22 states in that matter. Those 22 states, from the time when the matter was at the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, adjoined the matter. That essentially was the judgment of the court. It's very important to state, at this point that the court did not address maybe the issue of licensees or persons that had been issued license, but this can be implied. Thank you. We can't hear you, Samuel.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, wonderful. Yes, I love the elucidation. It's quite apt, and anyone who listens to this should be able to know one or two things, or to get one or two things from what Fadika has said. But before we just move on, I would like to hear just a minute message from Bimpe. Bimpe, what are your thoughts on what Fadikemi has said?
She has given not a brief, a very full explanation around what the Supreme Court judgment is regarding regulations in the industry. I think I can speak to what the industry was prior to that judgment. What you had was the Nigerian gaming industry was operating under this dual regulatory system where you had the federal and the state governments claiming jurisdiction. And this led to a number of issues, around multiple licenses, regulatory conflicts. I could speak to some because there were some that I witnessed or that were issues that I was at the forefront at the time I was the executive secretary of the Association of Nigerian Bookmakers. So what you found was you could see a state, one of the state's regulatory body, that's the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority, which was, you know, like the foremost regulator, quite well established. Before the NLRC, that's the federal regulator, to started to push for powers to regulate the industry, especially the sports betting industry, now that it was online. And interesting to, should I say, a response to what Fadike said, is interesting to see that it was the former head of the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority at the time that instituted this matter that we are saying has been given judgment at the highest court of the land. It's still the same head of the regulatory body at Lagos State at the time that then, you know, moved to the federal level. And then from there to, of course, now on the side of the federal to say that, you know, now the federal has powers. And this really became a challenge for operators. I mean, speaking or sitting on the side of the operators, it was really a challenge. You know, you saw a case of two strong entities, you know, fighting each other, and it was the operators really suffering. There were instances of, you know, name shaming some of these operators. So you had operators who, especially the online operators, just got the federal license and chose to stay online. Some actually got some state licenses too and chose to operate from whichever state license whichever state that they got the license. So you then had Lagos State naming people who were not licensed with Lagos State as illegal operators in national dailies and all. You had the federal to retaliate, naming some operators who didn't have a federal license as well as illegal operators. And like I said, in all of these, it was the operators really suffering from the lack of clarity. You could also see some government agencies jumping into this confusion to sort of exploit the system. So there were periods too that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission was just, they were up and picking these operators, you know. Some faced harassment, some were locked up and all of that on grounds that they were not remitting taxes or what was supposed to be remitted to the National Lottery Regulation, and clearly not even giving regards to the fact that there were issues on ground regarding dual regulations, and that these operators were making payments to some other state agencies. They clearly didn't want to hear that. This, you know, you can imagine the financial difficulty that a lot of these operators faced at the time, and it actually informed the association's decision at the time to institute a matter in court, similar to the judgment we had now, which was also for the court to determine who could regulate the industry and put to an end this confusion, whether it was the federal or the state. So it's a good thing, it's a good thing that we have this judgment now, because clearly it gives clarity as to who has the powers to regulate the industry. There is no confusion any longer. This is what operators actually have been clamoring for all along, for clarity. But I also know that, or it is worthy of note to state that this Supreme Court judgment clearly is not the end of whatever issues there are within the industry, but definitely is a step in the right direction. And the following steps should, like I've always advocated, should be for now the regulators to pull the operators and every stakeholders on board. It's a good time for us. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. We just have to move on, and having heard from Fadike and Pinkwe on the background and significance of the Supreme Court ruling We would love to hear from our audience because we are actually here because of them. And if you have any question, if you are listening to us on LinkedIn, you can post it, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you. And I will still need to go back to Fadikemi for the second question, which goes like needing to know about the industry prejudgment, the regulatory landscape before the ruling, state versus the NLRC. So, Fadikemi, I'm giving it to you. Can I hear you? Oh,
Thank you.
sorry. No, Olabimpe,
Bimpe,
sorry.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Samuel. I think I mentioned that already. That's literally what I broke down in my last question, is that the industry was operating a dual regulatory framework. That is both the federal and the state claiming powers to regulate the industry. And this has caused a lot of hardship for the operators. That was what the industry was like pre the Supreme Court judgment.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's so short and exclusive. Thank you, Olabimpe. And moving on, let me just run through the third questions that goes to Olubi, the chief in the house. And the question is the implications for licensing and the licensees. How the ruling affects the licensing processes and operators. And I feel Olubi has been in the industry for a very long time, more than a decade, and I'm hoping to hear a very good message from you. Olubi, our audience are listening to you. Thank you. Please unmute
I think
yourself.
You're muted.
Oh yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for that. I just didn't remember that. So good morning, everyone. So we're looking at the implication of this rule on operators within the Nigerian space, and I believe that this is very crucial to really discuss about. We'll be looking at what we call strict compliance would be in place, because now what that means is that the recent ruling will bring about tighter enforcement of licensing regulations, which will make it more, stricter and make it more difficult for, operators to navigate, because we know Nigerian landscape, right? There's a lot of things that is going on in that space. But right now with this ruling, it's going to make something, make it very, make it very difficult for a lot of people. And then there will be some kind of, let me say, background check now, which usually they don't do before. They will start doing that now. And that would eventually lead to what they call higher financial requirement, from the operators, basically. So they now have to pay more, for them to be able to get into that space. Also, that would, in my opinion, would improve regulatory oversight. I mean, this is something that before nobody cares about it, but now at this point, it's going to, there will be a lot of, they're going to put a lot of like a searchlight, right? Just to see, how that industry would be better regulated, which is something, in my opinion, that, looks a bit good. Also, this would eventually impact some of the operators that are, existing. How would that impact them? One of the ways that it will impact them is that, now they will have to be doing like a regular audit, and then, doing some kind of compliance check, because now now that the regulation is focusing more attention on the states, then it means that if you're coming in now, you need to be able to open your books, right? I'm not saying that prior to this time books are not opened, but there's the issue of double taxation before this time, right? So maybe now there will be some kind of concentration from the state level, which they would really want to like focus on. And again, there will be some kind of, let me say, there'll be changing in some of the taxations and in, what licensing fee, for example. Maybe the licensing fee before now, it's kind of, very, cheap. But now that, it's been centralized, well, there'll be more kind of higher fee for, those that are already operating. Again, we want to look at what are the benefits for me in this case? It means that there will be more transparency in the system. That is something that I personally think that's going to happen. For example, uh, there will be some kind of the processing time for getting a license, for example, will probably be reduced, and then, because most of the states now would want operators to quickly get on business, because now they don't have to go through the federal government and then come back to the state and, go through all of those orders. So, and then there will be some kind of more, documentation requirement, which is something that I know that would really help the industry. So before now, maybe the books are not completely complete when they are putting it in, but now that this law is in place, it would. And I also think this would bring up some kind of challenges, right, to some of the operators, which I think that one of the strongest challenges that I think would happen in this situation is that it will there will be like a higher financial barrier, right? In the sense that now the operators are coming in and they're looking at they're looking at the process in a very different way, right? Which normally now, each state will have to start imposing how they want to, run their operations when it comes to, gambling, for example. And then there'll be, kind of tougher competitions, right? Because a lot of people now wants to get into the market and try to, see what they can do. Okay, how would all of this implicate? What would be the implication? I mean, looking into the future, for example, I think there will be more kind of high level of digitalization, in the licensing process. So it's going to help, a lot of uh, they bring in more AI tools and every other thing else to just help to make it more user friendly for players, for example. So, and then I think there will be what we call uh, regional and some kind of federal kind of collaboration or alignment, if I may use the word alignment, that would help them to have more kind of collaboration. At this point, I don't see. I know federal governments are still going to be pushing in some ways, but because now that the state have like a total autonomy, I still see some kind of collaboration between the state and the federal government. And then at the end of the day, the implication is going to affect both the existing, and then it's going to affect those ones that are coming in newly into the industry. But I feel like if there is some kind of synergy between these two, would begin to see that the industry will start to boom. There'll be more kind of collaboration. There'll be more kind of progress, and there'll be additional kind of technology that would really really help the industry to grow. So overall, I think this law would have its positive and its negative impact. Like I was discussing with the recently with the regulators, and I told them that look, this law is good, but at the end of the day, it's going to create a lot of chaos. Like Adebimpe has said that, oh no, it's good. There's not going to be chaos. I personally think that there will be chaos, but it's going to take I mean, the process of time will be able to see how there will be some kind of synergy where those problems can be, technically solved. But right now, the landscape is really I mean, a lot of operators don't understand what is happening and all of that. And that's the reason for this conversation, so that at least they know that, there is an implication for the new ones, for the one that are existing. And let's see how we can, come in between and solve this problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Samuel,
Okay.
please, if I could just quickly clarify that.
Okay.
I see Adebi mentioned that I said there is no chaos. No, what I said is there is now clarity. Of course, after there is clarity, there is no, it's like a new level of challenge has been created by the judgment. But at least right now, we know who to be discussing with. That was my point. Not that we have a smooth sailing, free thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, thank you for that. But the truth of the matter is that with the conversation that I've had with few operators and those that are the regulators, there's going to be a lot of confusion moving forward. But of course, with time, I'm sure that this would also help to solve more problems in itself.
Yeah, in
Thank you.
fact, Olubi, you have said it all, and I love the composure, I love the explanation, the enunciation, because we're able to talk about both the challenges, the benefits. Part of the benefits happens to be more transparency, compliance check, and documentation requirements, helping the state. Challenges, you mentioned that higher financial barrier. You also mentioned tougher competition, and you also spoke about the impact, the high level of digitalization and alignment between the regional and federal as it is. Yes, I actually love your enunciation, and I feel the audience that are listening to us as well, we love what you have said. In case you have any question, just drop it. We will follow it up and give you the best of the answer. And let me now go straight to the next question, which will be going directly to Farouk. The question is all about the emerging development post-judgment, introduction and expectations around the URL framework. I know what Farouk can do. We are here listening to you. Let's go, Farouk. Thank you. Farouk, are you there? Farouk, are you there?
Maybe we'll move to the next question.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. I hope it comes in very soon. And the next question, I'll still need to go back to Olubi, and after speaking, I would love for Fadike to back him up. And the next question, let me quickly state it, and it talks about the challenges of the new system and potential hurdles
Farouk
for
is here.
operators under the state-led regulation. I think Olubi has said one or two things about this, and I want you to state to further enunciate on this, because it's part of what you have just said, and I'm handing it over to you. After you, I'm hoping that Fadikemi backs you up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. As Nigerian gaming industry continue to evolve, so we're going to see some shift towards state-led regulations, which represent both opportunities, and then there's some kind of significant changes for the operators. There will be the licensing across states will be kind of let me use the right word, it's going to be fragmented, in my opinion, because now there will be a struggle now between the different states as to how they want to operate and how they want to put in their regulations, right? So I take, for example, Lagos State, which has the biggest and the largest chunk. Well, for me, is because of there's a lot of technology in Lagos State. Lagos State is like the powerhouse of Nigeria, for example. So, for an operator who's been existing before, would like to stay in that kind of a environment because of the large chunk of money that is going to be making in terms of revenue. New operators would also be looking at Lagos State. So Lagos State, for me, in this situation, would become like the powerhouse that takes over every other thing else, right? So now, for smaller states like Bayelsa State, like Gombe states that probably don't exist when it comes to all of these regulations. So what's going to happen to them? So this is where I kind of draw the line when the problem will start popping up, because at the end of the day, if you operate within the particular states, you can actually do both retail and then you can do online. And online, for me, it covers the whole of the country, for example. So I don't know how that is going to play out, right? I know that there's an umbrella body, which obviously the regulators, especially the Lagos State Regulatory Board, are trying to see how they can, harmonize all of the other states into one, right? So this is becoming so complex now. The complexity is getting to the point where you really need to, see beyond what you already have now. For example, I want to run a retail in Bayelsa, and I want to run my retail in Lagos, for example. It will create some kind of chaos. I explain what I mean by that. Let's say, for example, I'm an investor, I'm coming into the Nigerian space to operate, right? And I put my money for Lagos State, for example, and I want to operate in all of the states in Nigeria. Okay. So what's going to happen to my taxes, right? Who's going to take Ogun State will want to take his taxes. Bayelsa will want to take his taxes. This will want to take their taxes. And I'm in Lagos State. Now, the Lagos States, because they are big, they want to be like the daddy of every other state, right? So as they want to be the daddy of every other state, how do I pay my taxes? So that means that I have to go to Ogun State to pay my tax, or the Lagos State will take the taxes from me and then distribute to the rest of the state. So it's kind of complicated. Now, for me as an investor, I'd rather go to Bayelsa State, where I know that they are going to pay a very less taxes, and then I can operate around the whole of the country. Now, Lagos State will say no, because I don't want you to have your presence in my state. But this is online, right? I'm not even doing retail. So it becomes, a bit complicated. And that's some of the things that I would like Farouk to really, touch on when we continue this conversation. Yeah, then for me, there will be some kind of, you know, increase in licensing costs. So now what that means is that multiple states, prior to this time, their licensing cost is maybe, let's say, $1, right? And Lagos State licensing cost is $50. But now that it's been harmonized, the same state that charges $1 is now looking at getting a chunk of the $50 that Lagos State is getting, to say, oh, you know what, you have to pay me $50, or you have to pay me $25 out of the $50. You cannot just get $50. And, so it becomes, so the costs would drastically go up now, because they want to take care of the other states who would probably be asking for their own, part of, revenue, for example. So again, I know that there might be some technology that can be in place just to resolve this problem. That's why I said it's good sometimes when there's a problem.
Thank you.
Problem usually brings right. So problem usually, when it starts, it brings solution. But a lot of times people just see problems without looking at the solution. For me, I like problems so that I can be part of the solution and not just the part of the problem. I hope that clarifies what I'm
Yes.
trying to explain.
You have said it all, and we just need to move on, and we need to go straight to Farouk. Farouk actually left while the question was being stated, and here is the question, Farouk. We need to talk about the emerging development post-judgment, introductions and expectations around the URL framework. I'm giving you just, because we are just running out of time, I'm giving you 3 minutes to explain this. Please. Thank you.
Very well, very well. Thank you. Okay. Before I go on to explain the URL, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, okay.
I just would like to clarify some of the words that I've been hearing. The use of the word chaos, chaos. The truth
Yes, I think we have is having a network glitch as we speak. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Yes. So we
Yes,
can
we can
just
hear
move
you.
on. Fadeke, do you have anything to say concerning that? Let's just move on.
Yes. So I'm just going to start by introducing the URL, which is what Farouk essentially is was going to talk about. Now, we need to understand that this judgment created a situation, and that situation is what happens to those who were licensed by the NLRC, essentially the national license. Is what happens to, especially not even land-based. They don't have land-based operations. They don't have a physical. They have physical presence by way of having employees in certain states across the country, but they do not have physical structures. They do not have land-based operations. The implication for them is, because they draw life from the National Lotteries Act, which was nullified, it means that even every creation of the National Lotteries Act automatically becomes void or defunct in the case of the National Lotteries Regulatory Commission. So it creates a situation whereby people who are holding licenses for 5 years, for 10 years, now find themselves in a situation where the licenses have been voided by the Supreme Court. I see that there are comments in terms of, oh, can this judgment be appealed? Incidentally, this is the highest court of the land. Therefore, there's no appeal. Like well, according to those who were in court, the judge was deemed to have said that the only appeal now is to God. And well, it will be interesting to see how we could go to God to appeal that. Now, because of this situation that has been created, whereby you have national licenses who are predominantly online operators, the state regulators recognize that the industry, because of the digital age that we are in right now, has moved on. Remember, the matter before the court was not about the channels, whether online operators or land-based operators could operate, or, you know, who was the right person to legislate on this. It was over lottery, you know, so there is no pronouncement. It's very important to state that there's no pronouncement in terms of, you know, the national online licensees. Now, to bridge this gap, what has happened is the state regulators under the umbrella of the Federation of State Regulators of Nigeria, of which there are, well, we about 22 members from what we hear, came together to introduce a framework, which is the Universal Reciprocity License Framework. And the key features of the frameworks are that, one, there would be an introduction of a universal license, a single license for the online category, for the sports betting category, as well as for the casino category, respectively. Now, this universal reciprocity license would cover and allow operators who subscribe to it to operate across member states. So, like I said, the information we have is that there are 22 members in this
24.
association. Okay, Farouk, you're here.
Yeah, 24. I just
Do
wanted
you
to
want to
correct.
take it from here?
Absolutely. So
Go
for
ahead.
the URL, like she has been saying, it's basically an umbrella body for state regulators in Nigeria, because essentially what operators have been agitating for is uniformity, 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 you know, and this is what the URL and the FSGRN has essentially brought. However, we understand that the challenges that the autonomy the states now have poses to operators, like BE has never shied away from saying. However, I don't see a situation that will descend into chaos. It's a new challenge. The URL is the proposed way forward to cure this chaos that seems to, abound. and we're moving forward to it. It's not something that started today. Mrs. Fadike and Bigpe can attest to this fact that it's been around way before the judgment. And now we're looking for the best way forward to implement it. However, in the meantime, the law is the law. The judgment simply states that individual states now have autonomy to regulate, lotteries by whatever name called, online casino, B2B, whatever it is, within their territories. And this is what it is today at the moment. And, operators, all other stakeholders must comply with this at the moment while we, make way forward in determining how we're going to implement the URL for the benefits of the operator. So there's no chaos in the system. Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority, thankfully, has a robust gaming framework, thanks to the likes of Madam Fadike, who have set the pace before moving into private practice. We have an exhaustive gaming framework that covers both online and retail gaming operations. So there are no issues. There are no issues. Consistently, Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority is available to provide advisory, to step in. That's essentially what the FSGRN is for, to step in for operators who have issues in neighboring states. We'll step in and discuss with them and make sure your business thrives in the country. Because if you don't bring business, there's no way we can exist. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Farouk. If I could just add to that quickly, and to reiterate what Farouk said, yes, it is true, actually, and kudos to the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority for actually being proactive, in pulling the various states together under the umbrella of, it was initially the Association of State Gaming Regulators and now the Federation or state gaming regulators. And truly, this body had been in existence prior to the Supreme Court judgment. The URL is a good proposal. Like Fadike has mentioned, this judgment actually poses more challenge for operators who are strictly online. For those that have been operating in both the retail and online space, this is more like clarity for them. It's a good thing because essentially they've been dealing with the various states of the federation prior to the Supreme Court judgment and had, been paying these multiple taxes and all of that in the various states. So all I'll just say regarding the URL is it's a good thing. It's a work in progress. Not I think my advice usually and what I advocate for is at every point to collaborate with the operators. They are the ones, also operating on ground. The regulators should not see them here as, maybe a barrier. More, we should work together as partners at the end of the day, to create a robust framework, not just in terms of revenue generation for the industry, but to have proper regulations that protect citizens, allows the operators themselves to thrive, and also contribute meaningfully to the economy of Nigeria.
Yes, just to add a little bit to it. Sorry. Well, when I'm talking about chaos, right, I'm not really talking about from the outside. I'm talking from the inside, right? So for those that are on the inside, for example, the regulators, the different states that are going to, taxations and all of that, that is what I meant by it's going to be chaotic on the inside. But from the outside, it depends on what is presented. For example, the URL, for example, is a very good framework for an operator that is coming from outside to just follow suit and say, hey, this is what I have to do, and that's it, right? So they don't have to worry about what goes on the inside. But for clarity, for example, I'm just trying to say, look at it holistically. Like there would definitely be issues, challenges, and of course, they are good thing, in my opinion. When there are challenges, it helps you to be able to figure things out differently. So that's what I'm trying to say. I hope that clarifies it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to add finally, because I didn't get much time to speak, internally, we're good. The synergy, we're moving forward, in terms of regulation of the industry to make sure that everything is in tune. You can, this is for the audience now, you can feel free to come, set up your company, your operating company in Nigeria. The market is open, the regulations are in place, there are no issues, there's no victimization, even for those who currently hold the NLRC license. There are talks in place to see how we can bring them into the fold. No victimization, nobody's going after erstwhile holders of NLRC licenses. So everything is in order.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and we have several questions here from the audience. I have to be candid with you. We have over 40 questions here, but I'll pick some of the technical ones, which I will want Farouk to speak just 20 seconds about. The question is from David Maganak, and the question goes like this: that what is the update from Lagos State regarding URL principle? Farouk, can you say a little about this?
Okay.
Say something about it.
Okay, I think we have touched on that. We have touched on that already. The talks around the URL are in place. We are currently discussing, as regulators, the FSGRN now. We're currently discussing with relevant stakeholders, operators, and internally too, amongst the operators on how to best implement the universal reciprocity license to make life easier for everybody. So talks are currently going on. There's nothing final yet. So as soon as we reach, it's a phase. As soon as we reach the execution phase, we'll roll it out and everybody will be in the know as to, the state of licensing in the country across member states.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Which I'm seeing from here. It's all about Olubi to go to this question, which is from a linked online operators across all federal territory will require license from which state? That is the first question. Only one. Another question, of all of them. Then he asked again, if only one, where the office is based, what will be the taxation regime towards the other states where the licensee will not be licensed? Did you get that question? Please, you can help us through that question up there. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I got a question. It's very simple.
Okay.
You just go straight to the Lagos State Licensing Board, the regulators, and of course, they will be the one to advise as to what you have to do or how you have to operate, where you have to put your offices, and all of that. Because right now, everything is harmonized. Like it's now like going to be under one umbrella. So basically, and I know that Lagos State has like the edge over every other states. So I mean that answers the question.
Thank you. Someone just sent in another question. I would just want us to touch it. I want Fadeke to touch this question. The person Nasiru Ogirima, he said a bit confusing here. The proposed URL function is basically what NLRC was doing or proposed to all stakeholders to do via a tech that uses geolocation to capture who gets the revenue share. Will it replace federal government function? What's the difference? And asking as an individual, please. That's a question from Nasiru. Please, can you quickly say something, Fadeke?
Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, essentially, in a nutshell, that is what the URL more or less would represent. Because prior to now, the national license allowed operators, access to all countries across the federation, including states that prohibit or do not actively regulate lotteries and related activities in their jurisdiction. There were states that recognized that the moment you have a national license, you can actually set up physical structures in their states. So what the URL is proposing to do is quite similar. The only difference is, it's limited to maybe 22 or 24 states. The question that raises is what happens in those jurisdictions or those states who are not members of the Federation of State Regulators. So yes, essentially that's what it is. I am sure that by the time the URL framework is, finalized, perhaps we would have more clarity. But one thing that seems to be certain is that there will be uniformity in the rate of taxation of gaming good causes taxes. There'll be uniformity in probably the license fee once that is agreed. Again, there are concerns, but I'm sure perhaps we'll still discuss some of the challenges that the proposed framework, that are inherent in the proposed framework, one of which is, even the Federation of State Regulators of Nigeria. What kind of body is it? Is it a body corporate? Is it going to be a statutory body? Would it, and then where does it stand when compared to the gaming laws of each state? Because each state has autonomy and they have existing gaming laws. So would it override the provisions of those laws? Those are some of the areas that we're still seeking clarity from the regulators. Also, from a regulatory perspective, we have to admit that the world is gradually moving from the industrial age into the age of information, into a digital age. So beyond gaming, we see that people are migrating towards places where taxation is favorable. They're migrating towards places where the structure is welcoming. If we have to be conscious, the regulators have got to be conscious and have at the back of their mind that, look, this is not perhaps not the time to want to generate all of the money that we feel that has not been generated over the years. This is perhaps not the time. This is the time to create an environment that is welcoming, that is appealing, and that people, investors can come in, operators, can continue to operate, because one of the options for some of these national licensees is to suspend operations in Nigeria. That's always an option. So the question is, do we want 100% of zero, or do we want a certain percentage of something tangible? Thank you.
Yes,
Lighton, may I
okay,
add
okay,
to
okay,
that?
okay, okay.
May I add to that? Add
In
to
30
that
seconds.
briefly? Okay. So I think one thing perhaps that we do not consider from the judgment is the fact that not every state in Nigeria allows gaming. We must consider the cultural and religious tendencies of several states, which is one of the most important issues that the judgment perhaps came to settle, right? Not all states want gaming in their territory. So now this is why it is important that the FSGRN brings together all the states that allow gaming into the fold. Before now, the national license holders could operate in any state, including states where gaming is not allowed. There have been instances where their businesses have been, affected locally in terms of their land-based business. So any state that doesn't want to be part of the gaming structure in Nigeria will not be part of the FSGRM. So you know that you don't have to take your business there. That is clarity. It's essentially what operators want. You understand? So this is a very big kudos to the Supreme Court judges who have given this judgment and laid the foundation for the future of gaming in Nigeria. And it's not unique to Nigeria. There are so many countries of the world that run this similar system. And we must just try to borrow from them. What are they doing that is making it work in their own jurisdictions? Now bring it down to the country and see how we can implement it to make life easier for regulators and for operators alike. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
We hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
we need to go straight to the last question. We have just 2 minutes to treat this question, and it actually speaks about the benefit of the new system, opportunities for growth, local innovation, and market focus. I think I'll go with Olubi for this. Then Bimpe can support him. Just 2 minutes, please. Thank you, so that you can write it.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, the panelists. I think everybody has been very, very awesome on this topic. So there is a lot of opportunity for growth in the Nigerian industry. So let's take, for example, Nigeria is the third most populated country on earth, right? And we have 60% youths, and these 60% youths are predominantly very, they're digitalized, most of them, and the mobile penetration into the industry is kind of springing up, doing a lot of magic. So now you're sure that that is an example of growth right there. Anyway, like I always tell, in forums that I go to speak, I tell them that though the value of the players coming from Nigeria can be very low, but the significant effect in numbers can make a lot of difference. So it's very good to know that there's an opportunity for growth. And now the fact that there is this umbrella harmonization that is going on in the country at the moment, I think this would obviously bring more stability in that industry, to be honest, because once it's a bit stable, then it will be easy for investors to kind of come in fully. Now, for the existing operators, I know that this is an opportunity for them to have more kind of robust and stable way of operation prior to this time, where they have to worry about federal government, state government, and they have to worry about so many things. Now they have it all stable. Again, the fact that Lagos State is providing some kind of solution, you know, into the gambling industry. And I guess we're going to be seeing more of that when we go for the conference in February, for example. I'm sure that obviously most operators and investors
Thank you.
and people that are coming from different places will have like more
Thank
understanding,
you.
and they will be interested to come into the market. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yes.
yeah, just to
Yes.
quickly add to that, and I'm quite mindful of time. For me, I would, should I say, directly be addressing the regulator here, and I feel that there is great opportunity here for the regulators. Again, kudos to the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority for taking the initiative to set up the Federation of States um, Regulators of Nigeria. But I'll say that this is actually a great opportunity to create a robust framework for the industry. I believe that if this space is effectively managed, that's by the regulators, which is in terms of I know they're doing that already, bringing in the operators, like bringing the operators, stakeholders to discuss how this URL thing will work, because it's a beautiful thing. I know that if this transition is effectively managed, the state regulators can actually
Thank
position
you.
Nigeria, as a leader and model for other African regulators.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have a whole lot of questions, like I said, from our audience. But let me just pick the last question, which I would want Fadike to talk about as a legal practitioner. This person says that from Fru Sheila Chi. She says that I have a question. I am a betting lawyer in Cameroon and needs clarification. To be certain, I got you well. For an operator or betting company to carry out its activities, it will need to obtain license in different states. Sorry, do you have anything to talk about concerning that, Fadike?
Yes, just to
Brief,
clarify,
briefly.
yes, just to clarify, by virtue of the Supreme Court judgment, that is what it means. It means if you want to operate in multiple states, every state you want to operate in, you have to comply with the requirement, the licensing regime, the regulatory requirement in that jurisdiction. However, the states have come together, and the proposal is to issue a single license that will grant you access across multiple states, essentially across the country, to operate. Also, reporting will be streamlined, licensing will be, taxation, remittances will be streamlined as well. So that's what it means.
Yeah, thank you, Fadeke. Yes, we have spent over an hour now speaking about the future of gaming in Nigeria in light of the Supreme Court rule. And I won't lie to you. You guys have given a very fantastic ideas, elucidations, enunciations, and whatever insight. Very insightful. Before we give a we give we call it a day. I would want you guys to just say one in one, maybe it may just be in a simple sentence. What is the next thing to do? Where do you see Nigeria? Let's take it one after the other. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think Fadekemi should go.
Okay,
Right.
Fadekemi. A closing
Well,
remark from you.
Thank
Yes.
you. So where do we
Yeah.
see Nigeria? And I mean Nigeria gaming industry, not the country as a whole. The industry is currently at a crossroad. That's where we are. And there are opportunities to be explored, at this crossroad. And we hope that, together, collaboratively, all stakeholders are able to take advantage, and alignment of purpose, and for in the interest of the gaming industry. For the regulators, the hope is that beyond licensing, we actually start seeing proper regulation of the industry. It goes beyond revenue generation, it goes beyond the duration of license. There are issues of responsible gaming that we need to take control of. There are issues of the quality and standard of technology that is acceptable in this country. There are issues of returns to player, the fairness, of practices. The use of artificial intelligence and data of players, there's so many issues, anti-money laundering, that needs to be addressed. And it is our hope that the states recognize this and come together and, work towards a sane, safe, and sustainable gaming environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go to Farouk. Your closing remark, Farouk.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to say that the gaming industry in Nigeria is moving forward, and Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority is or continues to set the pace. And now that there's no longer a gap in terms of who regulates, of proper regulation, proper processes in place, responsible gambling is something that is very integral and that we are very big on. And we keep working on making sure that Nigerians are, safe from the harms that gambling causes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Farouk. And let's move on to Olubi. Your closing
No,
remark.
yeah, I mean Fadekemi. Sorry, Adebimpe should go, and then I go last. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Ladies first.
Thank you, B. As a final note from my end, I mean, Fadeke said most of the things. This is an important time in the Nigerian gaming industry. And like I said, if properly managed, can make us become the model for other African countries. Now is the time, again, like I said, while we are praising the Lagos State Lotteries Gaming Authority, now is the time, again, to sort of establish themselves, and that's in terms of regulations, reach out to some of a number of these federal government agencies, because truth is there are lots of policies from federal government parastatals that directly impact the industry.
Thank you. Olubi.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Listening to you.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to state that now Nigeria, moving forward with the iGaming industry in Nigeria, I think, in my opinion, that we're not there yet, like Fadikemi has said, but we're going to be there. It's just a question of time. Again, I represent Gaming Tech as a B2B software provider for platforms. So, of course, we're coming into the African space to simplify your operations. That is something that I really want to touch on. Again, with this new regulation in place, now what that means to us as a provider is that there will be more, responsible gaming, stricter, processes and all of that. And all of this, we already have it integrated on our platform. So in a way, I see the landscape, becoming something that will be greener more, and the industry will continue to flourish. These are my submission, and thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be around with you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Olubi, and I sincerely appreciate you guys. As we conclude this enlightening session, it is evident that the Supreme Court ruling marks a turning point in Nigeria gaming industry, while challenges exist, and so do we. So do new opportunities for operators, regulators, and stakeholders. A special thanks to you once again. And we also have to give a special thanks to our sponsors. We have Digitain, we have iGaming Consult Africa, as well as Age Lagos for making the event possible. Don't forget to mark your calendar for Age Lagos next month, starting from 25th to 27th, 2025, February. It promises to be a major industry event you don't want to miss. Lastly, a big thank you to our panelists once again for their valuable insights, and to all attendees, our audience, for being part of the conversation. Let's keep the dialogue going beyond the webinar. Connect with us on social all.
Yeah, I think the network is not good. Maybe we can just call it a day, I guess. So, Mr. Farouk, you were saying something before you cut off, right?
No. Was that?
Okay. I think so. Oh, it was. I think it was being paid, right? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, was that me? I think I lost
Yeah. Exactly.
connection at a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay.